All right, so I'm going to go over major scales and how to form major chords once you learn a major scale. So we've already been playing major chords in our left hand and our right hand actually, and we maybe you just haven't known it yet, because like we've been playing this 4 chord with the 2 3 5 7 here, and then also this 1 chord with the 2 3 5 7, and these have actually been major 7th chords. So we've already been playing them, but I taught you in a way where you could just learn the chord without really having to know all the music theory behind it. But now I want to just kind of go into that stuff, because once you learn a major scale and you know how to form a major 7th chord, then it just really opens up a lot of possibilities for you, because you can take that major scale and then form the major 7th chord. So whenever I have any major scale that I know, I can form a new chord from that, and I want you to be able to do that too. So here are some like major 7th chord voicings. So we have this 1 3 5 7 and 2 3 5 7. So I'm going to play that in other major scales. So we have this in C major, which is starting from C, and it's all white keys. But I just want to show you what major 7th chords would sound like. So I'm just kind of going in between a bunch of different major 7th chords and major scales. So that's what it sounds like. And now let's get down to, what is a major scale? What is it? How do you know that it's a major scale rather than another kind of scale? And basically, a major scale just sounds a certain way. It's a scale that sounds, to me, like a bright, a happy sound, or like maybe a light sound that you would associate with it. So what I mean by that is, like, a major scale will always sound like this. Like it'll always have that kind of sound to it. No matter what major scale you're playing, I can play the E flat major scale or the E major scale. So all of these have, they all sound the same. I'm just starting on a different note basically. And so all major scales have that same kind of sound. And I tend to associate a bright, happy, or a light feeling with them. So like when I'm playing a C major chord, or let's say like a classical chord, like this is what classical pianists would play. They would play a 1 3 5, and then 8 up here. And so that kind of sound, like that kind of sound only comes from a major scale. So it's a major chord that's formed from a major scale. And when you do that, like you're always going to get that bright, happy, or light sound. And you can make up your own words for how it sounds to you, but that's just generally how I think of it. I tend to associate that emotion with a major chord. But what we do in jazz is that we take that major chord and then we play this, instead of playing this 1 3 5 1 and then just repeating that up here, then what I do is I play this 7th instead of that 8. So we play 1 3 5 8, and then we take that 8 and we move it down to the 7th. So that's one of the big differences between classical and jazz, and that's what we've been doing with our chords. Like when we play this C chord. It's actually a C major 7th chord, because we're taking that, we're playing C major, and then instead of playing this 8, we're playing the 7th note here. And I don't want you to get too confused with this, like what is a major 7th and major scale and stuff. Just really know how a major scale sounds like. That it generally sounds happy or bright or light or whatever words that you associate with it. And then, and also when we form a major 7th chord, we move this 8 that would be played in like a classical piece, where that's just called a C major chord, and we'd move that 8 down to the 7th. So it'd be called a C major 7th chord. And so this gives you a lot of opportunity. Like once you learn one of these major scales, you can learn a chord in both your left and your right hand. So we would have like a 1 3 5 7, and then a 2 3 5 7 here in my right hand. And I would just form that like based on the major scale. And since our major scale is just every all white key starting from C, then I know that this is the 1, and I form that chord in my left hand, and I form this 2, 3, 5, 7 chord as well in my right hand. And you can do that with any major scale. So like it just opens like so many possibilities for you to learn a different chord. Because say I learn an E, an E flat major scale, like, and then I'll take that major scale, and then I'll go to the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7, and in my right hand I'll play the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 7. And it'll give me that really nice sound. And so once you learn all the major scales, which by the way, you don't have to do that right now. I'm just letting you know, like how cool it can sound once you learn that. You'll be able to form all these chords. And you just need, some practicing to get used to doing that. But it's just a 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 3, 5, 7. And it's based on that major scale.